Hello everyone, Sharanya PS here. In this session, I will be discussing about unconditional branching statement. In the previous video, I have already discussed about conditional branching and looping statement. What is meant by this unconditional statements or jumps in loop or loop interruption? As the name indicates, suppose if the control want to move from one part of the code to some other section of the code without satisfying any of the condition, in such situation, these kinds of statement can be used. It completely skips a set of code in the program without pre-matching to any of the condition. Here, based on the way how it is working, it is classified into three categories. Suppose if we want to jump completely out of the loop, then goto and break statements can be used. If we want to just skip a part of the loop, then unconditional statement can be used. Or if we want to completely terminate the program, then exit can be used. What is meant by a goto statement? Goto statement is used majorly to move the control from any part of the program to any other part of the program. Here goto is the keyword used, and wherever it finds goto keyword, it will see the corresponding statement it need to be executed next. Say for example, in very general, if it is mentioned as goto 415, then 415 is the line number mentioned, so the control will move back to the 415th line in your program and the execution will be followed from the 415th line onwards. The same way here it is followed. Rather than mentioning the line number, here it is specified by using the label. Label is like some valid name what we are giving for the variables. Here the label need to be mentioned, and goto is the keyword first need to be used, and then label will be specified, and then it will be need to be semicolon, and then the label need to be described by following the colon. Based on its working, this goto statements, or which is also called as a jump statement, can it be classified into two types. One is called as a forward jump and one more as a backward jump. In the forward jump, as the name indicates, the control will be jumping in the forward direction. First, goto statement will be seen, and then it will find for the corresponding label in the code, and the control will move to the label, and the execution will be followed with the statement which is present next to the label. So in the sense, if it is a forward jump, then the set of code which is present between these goto label and wherever the label is there, this set of code will be getting skipped. It is not going to be executed. Coming to the backward jump, here first label will be mentioned and goto label. This will be specified next to that. So the control will be executed in a backward manner. That's why it is called as a backward jump. Here first, in the backward jump, the set of code whichever it is present, it will be keep executing repeatedly in the form of a loop. It will not terminate till the condition is getting satisfied. Once the condition is satisfied, then only it will come out of the loop. If we compare this forward jump and the backward jump, in the forward jump, set of code will be skipped when it sees the label goto statement with label, whereas in the backward jump, set of code will be repeatedly executed when it finds the goto statement. If we see the example here, in the forward jump, a simple C code is written to take the age as a input and checks whether the age is greater than or equal to 18. If so, then it displays a simple statement. The condition here with the if statement is checked. If it is true, then goto statement is used with the label vote. VOTE is the label used, and there is no restriction that uppercase need to be used. We can use either lowercase or uppercase, but same label need to be specified somewhere in the code where the control need to be moved. Here oath is described in this particular line with the statement, or with the statement which is need to be executed is eligible for oath. If this condition is true, then it will execute goto oath, and the control will move directly to this particular statement and it will display as eligible for oath. If condition is true, this is the way how it executes. If the condition is false, then it will skip this particular code and then it will go to the else part and display not eligible. This is how the forward jump will work. Coming to the backward jump, here simple program is written to display n natural number. I is starting with 1 and n is the value which will be given from the user as a input. And initially it will be displaying the I value, that is 1. After that it encounters the display as one of the label and it will be moving to the corresponding goto. So it checks whether I is less than or equal to n. Yes, condition is true in the very first time, and then I is getting incremented. Now I value became 2 and now it comes here and display the I value. I is displayed as 2 and it is not terminated. Once again the control will be moving to display is the label it found, so it is moving back to this display statement. That is, in the backward manner this set of code is keep executing and it checks the condition 2 is less than or equal to any given number. Say for example 3. Yes, condition is true, then it display the value as 2 and one more time it will display the value as 2 and 2 next I value is getting incremented, 3 it becomes, and the condition is 2 and it display the value as 3. That's how it the output will display as 1, 2, 3. This is by using backward jump. Here the loop has been formed without using any looping statements. So the major difference between forward jump and backward jump is, in the forward jump the set of code will be skipped, whereas in the backward jump set of code will be repeatedly executed. If we check into one simple program to find the sum of n natural number without using the looping statement. As we observed now, even if we are not using the like if or for or while, we can write it by using the goto statement. Here the value of n is taken as an input from the user and we have already checked with what is the logic to find the sum of n natural numbers. Here the major condition that we are checking is whether I is less than or equal to n, and the top is the label used here. The set of code that need to be repeated here is, this is the set of code it need to be repeated. So that is the section of code which is written between this goto label and label. Here goto is the keyword and the top is the label used. Whenever it finds this, the control will be coming back to this particular top. So the next statement it will keep executing. It is finding the sum and the I is getting incremented, and once again the condition is checked. If the condition is true, then once again it will execute goto top, so that the same three set of code will be keep repeating like a loop. That is why it is called like if we are using a back as we discussed previously, if we are using the backward jump, then the loop will be keep executing. Even in the previous program we have checked in the same manner. So here if the value n is given as a 3 times, this entire loop will be keep executing and it finds the sum by performing the same procedure and it display the value. This is how we can write simple code even if we are not using any of the looping statement. One more program to detect the entered number is even or odd by using the goto statement. If we write the code, first we have taken the number value from the user, and the major condition we check is whether x is completely divisible or the given number is completely divisible by 2. If it is so, then Instead of printing directly here, we have moving the control to some other section of the code which is given by the name even. So the control will search for that even label and it found here, and the corresponding statement, whatever it is present, it is going to execute it. This is how the goto statement will work. Suppose if the condition is false, then else part is supposed to be executed. Here it found go to all. So the control will move to corresponding odd label and it will be printing as the number is on. This is how even if we are not using by using some keywords like go to, we can move the control as we want to any section of the code. And this is how from one part of the code to some other part of the code, the control will be executed. These are the way how we can use the goto statement. But what are the disadvantages of goto? As we see, if we write the goto statements, the compiler will take a lot of time to run the code. The efficiency of the code will get decreased. One thing. And second part is like the program becomes much more complicated rather than if we are writing the same code by using simple looping statement. These are the two disadvantages if we are using the goto statement. Next statement, which if we want to terminate any of the loops, then we can make use of the break statement. What is meant by a break statement? It will completely exit the loop. So the control will completely terminate the current execution of the loop and it will continue with the next statement out which is present out of the loop statements or the body of the loop. Whenever break statement is encountered inside the loop, the control directly comes out of the loop and the loop gets completely terminated. And suppose if the break statements are used inside the nested loop. What is meant by a nested loop? That is, if two looping statements are used, like for loop, inside that one more for loops are used, those we call it as a nested loop. In such loops, if break statements are used, then wherever this break statement is used, only that corresponding loop is going to be terminated. Outer loop will be keep executing. So here it completely exit the loop before the condition is suppose if we want to completely terminate the loop, even if it does not match to the condition, in such situation this break statement can be used. And these break statements can be used in two sections. One is with the looping statements like for, do while and while loops, and one more with switch conditional block statements. We'll see with the example and the syntax how it works. With the while, do while and for loop, here the break statement is being used. What it works, how it works. While is the condition, it is going to check if the condition, whatever it is written, if it matches and if the control comes to this break statement, then this entire loop is going to be terminated. That is how whenever it sees this break as a keyword, it completely terminates the current loop whichever it is going to, which is currently executing. Here even with the do while, if is the condition used where it found a break statement, so the control will completely come out of this loop and it will be executing the next set of code. The same it holds good with the for loop as well. With all the three looping statements, we can use the break. And in the switch statement, we have already seen how these break statements are used, which are used along with the case statements. If with the case 1, if it is written as a after case 1, if the break is written, soon after seeing that break, the control will completely terminate that case 1 execution and the control will come out of that switch statement and execute the rest of the code which is present out of the switch statement. This is how it will execute with a switch statement and looping statement. If we look into one break statement example, simple code here it is written. The first we will be taking one I value. I is initialized with value 1, and the major condition it checks is whether I is less than or equal to 10. In the sense, this loop need to be executed till I value becomes 10. That is what the condition it says, and I is getting incremented. Three different conditions are written. Sorry, not condition. Three different sections. This is what we call as initialization, condition, and increment. And major condition it checks is whether I is double equal to 3. That whenever the I value becomes 3, then what it is supposed to be performed? The break statement is going to execute. In the sense, it will completely terminate the loop. Till that it is keep executing. So if we see the execution, how it works. First the I value with the 1. Yes, it comes here. 1 is not equal to 3. So it will not execute this break. The statement which is next to that, it is going to print. So 1 will be printed to the output screen. Same way, 2 is going to be printed same manner. And when it sees 3 with the 3, it is going to match with the if condition. So condition is true. So the very next statement which is present to that, that is break statement, is going to execute. In the sense, it will completely terminate the loop execution. That's why we will get the output only as 1 and 2. Even though it is the condition is given it as I is less than or equal to 10. This is how the break statement will be used. One more example here with the while loop. X need to be condition given with x is less than or equal to 10. It need to execute till 10 with the x value 1 initially. And it is displaying the x value each time. And where it is supposed to be break when the condition of x is equivalent to 5. So when the x value becomes 5, it completely terminates the execution of the entire loop. This entire loop's next iteration will be completely stopped. So it will not proceed with the next step of code. It will completely come out, and the statement whichever it is executed till that will be the output. This is how it will be executed. So here with the while loop, inside the if condition, if it matches, the break is going to be executed. And if we compare with all the three different kinds of loop with the for, while and do while, the same way we have already checked with the for loop. If the one condition here we are checking, if condition matches, then the break is going to execute. Here also, if I value whenever it becomes equal to 3, the break will be going to execute. Same small changes we can do, and we can execute the same set of code with the do while loop. All will return the output as 1 and 2, even though it is supposed to be executed till 5 because of the break statement. It completely terminates the loop. So what is the output of these two programs? Here we have written while looping statement, and the parameter used here is a 1. What does it mean? In the C programming, wherever there is a value as or the number as 1, it will be considered as a true. Any other numbers apart from 1, which may be 0 or any -1 or any negative numbers or any positive numbers, that will be considered as a false value. So here while 1 in the sense while true, what it is supposed to be displayed, it need to print loop to the output screen. And after that, here this is we have used one break statement. In the sense here, while true and loop statement, this will form a infinite loop. This while will be all the time, it will be true only, and it will be keep executing loop like that. It will be displayed onto the output screen. If we want to terminate this infinite loop, we can just use one simple break statement, so that first time it will execute loop, after that it encounters break statement, so it will terminate the loop. In the one more example, slight variation here, rather than while, here if condition is used. If true, then what it is supposed to be printed? True. And after that, break is used. Is it any usage of this break here? No, because if condition will display this true only once. It is not going to be repeated. Even though if it is used break here, the control is not going to be terminate anything. There is no usage of this break in if conditions. It will be used more to terminate the loops rather than terminating the conditional statements. One more kind, if we want to terminate the current execution of the loop, that is current iteration of the loop, then the continue statements will be used. That is, it stops the current iteration and continue with succeeding the iteration. The control will transfer back to the beginning of the loop, and it will go with the execution of the next iteration. Here the continue passes the control to the major point. Here is it will terminate the current iteration, and the next iteration onwards it will be keep executing. It will not completely stop the execution of the loop. If we look into the syntax here, same way as we have used with the break, the continue statement is used here. Only change is, instead of break, we have used the continue. What is the major difference here? In the break, it will completely terminate the loop, whereas in the continue, it will just terminate the current iteration. It will terminate the current iteration and it will proceed with the next iteration. If we look into the example, it will be much more clear. Same example we have taken into consideration. We have started with I value 1 and it's supposed to be executed till it is equivalent to 5. And the major condition checking is whether I is equivalent to 2, then the statement it need to execute is continue. So here how it execute? First 1 value. Yes, it is, condition is false, so 1 is printed to the output screen. Now I got incremented. Now the I value is 2. The condition is true. So it will skip the next statement which is present to that. So it will not print the 2 onto the output screen. The control will come back and it is going to increment the I value. Now the I value become 3. 3 is double equal to 2. Now condition is false and 3 will be printed onto the output screen because of the next line. Like this, it will be keep printing till the value 1, 3, 4 and 5. So here, by using the continue statement, the continue is applied when the condition is I is double equal to 2. So in the sense that corresponding statement will be skipped. That iteration is skipped and it will be moving with the next set of iteration. It is not completely terminating the loop as it was doing in the break statement. Here display the numbers other than the multiplies of 3 by using simple continue statement. We can write it. Here the condition is x is less than or equal to 10. Till the 10, 1 to 10, we have to display all the numbers which are not divisible by 3. The major condition we have to check is whether the number is divisible completely by 3 by remainder equal to 0. If that is the condition, it need to increment the x value so that it will continue with that, in the sense that corresponding iteration is skipped and it will be proceeded with the next number. So here if it is 3 mod 3, yes, condition is true. So what the next value, what will happen? The 3 value is getting incremented. So it becomes 4 and it is reading the statement as continue. So it will proceed with, it will not display that, it will proceed with the, it will skip all the section of the code and it will be proceed with the next iteration. This is how it will be printed. Read and add only the positive numbers using the continue statement. Here we have taken started, that is from as the question says, read and add only the positive numbers using the continue. We have to read a set of numbers and then in that we have to print only which are the numbers are positive and which are the numbers are negative. That is, first we are taking the integer and if the number value is less than 0, you have entered the negative number. We are displaying the value and it need to continue and it need to find the sum of only the positive numbers. That's why we have used the continue statements. If the number is less than 0, then it should not find the sum of those numbers. So rather than completely terminating the loop, we are just skipping if the number is a negative number. If this condition is not matching, then we are finding the sum and displaying the sum value. This is how this simple code is written till I value is less than 5. Till the user need to enter 5 different values. We have written this entire code within the for loop. That's why this entire code will be running for 5 different values. If you look into the comparison with the 3 different loops, how these continue are used, and the same condition we are going to check once again. Instead of break, we have now used the continue statement. So what is the output? It will display, as I mentioned previously, continue will just skip the current iteration. It will proceed with the next iteration. In the sense, if 3 is equivalent to 3, yes, condition is true. So it will not display the next statement, whatever it is written, printf statement. That's why we will not get 3 value. I value is getting incremented and it will proceed with the next set of code. So we are getting the output as 1, 2, 4, 5. With the same example is written in 3 different loops. So as a complete summary, what is the difference between the break and the continue? One is with the syntax, both the keywords are different, and here it stops the current loop and succeed with the next iteration, whereas here it stops the complete code itself and next go with the, what is with the break, it completely stops the complete loop, whereas in the continue it will just stop the current iteration. There is small change we are supposed to do in this. Can be used inside the switch, whereas this cannot be used inside the switch. And we can take one example and we can compare the output, how it differs. And one more, suppose if we want to completely come out of the program in such conditions, we can use one built-in function that is defined under standard library.h header file, that is exit, which will completely terminate the current program which is running. That is current process which is currently executing, that is completely terminate whenever it encounters the function called as exit. And it sometimes we are writing exit with one integer number inside that, that is either 0 or 1 will be mentioned. If it is 0, in the sense it does not return any error value, it has terminated successfully. If it returns with value 1, in the sense it might have returned some errors and terminated. Like that we can give some return values and also terminate. This is how we can unconditionally terminate the program. In this session, we have majorly discussed 4 different unconditional statements. One as a goto, where it is used to go to the specific code in the program. Next, we have looked into break, which is used to completely break the looping statement. Next, we have checked the continue, which will just continue with the next iteration by skipping the current iteration. And lastly, we have checked as a exit function, which will terminate the entire program itself. Thank you.